What are the key things that need to be consistently and constantly communicated? Like, we're not closing your parish. That's a good thing to keep going. And if you hear in the parish here, the parish is here where you belong, if you hear people say that stuff, say, no, well, I heard from the bishop himself, that's not happening. Okay, now, training-wise, real quickly, I won't go through each of these, but these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at so that we keep our heads on straight. CLI has been helping us with role delineation. What is the role of a new pastor in a collaborative? What's a parochial vicar do? What's a chaplain to a high school do? What's the janitor do? What's the secretary do? These things we'll try to get some, more of that we get out there, the happier people are because you know where it is going. Okay? There will be some concerns unique to priests in terms of our common life together, our spiritual life that we have to tend to. Roles of deacons again, in charitable works especially, but helping in parish administration as well. Leadership and management training for clergy, and best practices for transitions. And then for lay leaders and staff, developing those roles, and maybe some that we haven't utilized before. Identifying the best suited and competent people to carry out some of the more particular things. So, I know she's a nice lady and she was an auto mechanic, but she probably doesn't have the degrees to be the DRE. We need to find competent people to do those things, no matter how nice they are. And hopefully the competent person would be nice too. But, you see what I'm saying, okay? So we want to, how to identify those folks and to help discern the gifts. That's what priests are supposed to do in their parishes, to discern the gifts that come before. I've had people that come up to me, Father, I'm really good at this, and I watch them for 10 minutes and go, oh boy, And I said, well, have you ever tried this? And they love it, and they're good at it. And that's because I took it to prayer, and it was evident that they had this skill set. Well, that's what we're supposed to help do, okay? Maintaining stability. Many of you are going to be, hopefully all of you will help us do that. Keep it, simmer down. There's no need to worry that things are going to all blow up. It's going to be great, and it's going to be, I think, a really exciting new moment in the history of the diocese. We have to support the initiatives that are there, but also we know there's going to be a little firefighting. There'll be things that don't work so well, and we forgot to plug this in over here or whatever. Well, the human part of that, we have to kind of cut each other some slack on that and be ready for it. But like I said before, the diocese is going to have a parish support team of people that can, from all the different areas and departments, to jump in and help when it's needed. Safeguards. We just wanted to throw some things out there that would help to smooth this transition. So, just putting, encouraging the priests who are currently in their assignments to just hold off on any hires, fires, big things like that, starting new programs. The bishop mentioned that today, that, we understand the life of the parish has to go on. However, let's just keep the big stuff down until we get this done, and then we'll see where the dust settles. Now, mind you, we have to keep things somewhat copacetic in the parishes in the event that, let's say we get a class of 10 guys for the priesthood and they're all ordained 1 year. All of a sudden, pop, they're off on their own again. Well, you better keep the budget up to pay a pastor, and you better don't stop doing that. We gotta be ready to uncouple as quickly as we're coupling. Okay. Lots of communication and transparency. The support teams I mentioned, facilitators, the flexibility. If we've really got a problem that is not going to be solved in any other way than switching some people around, we're okay to do that. We hope we don't have to, but it's in there. And teamwork. Anything that we're missing there, please let us know. Okay, you're going to do this here. And then I got Father Cragen's picture coming up here real quickly. There he is. Okay? And so, now we get to the probably one of the most sensitive areas, the priest assignments. But I like my priest, and I don't want him to move. I know, and your priests like you too, and they don't want to move either. But the nature of the diocesan priesthood, I don't know what my next slide here, is the nature of our charism as diocesan priests is to be available for whatever the needs are in the diocese. And we do move around, and we handle everything. We're not specialists insofar as we just teach in schools, or we just take care of people in the hospitals, or the sick and dying. No, we do it all. Okay, so my Franciscan friends tell me, you guys are the frontline troops and have to handle whatever comes to the door. He says, we take your student right over here, please. So that's the difference. But what's the best approach to priestly assignments? We're asking this today in our own deliberations. Some guiding principles. We don't want to move people just for the sake of moving them, but that they're actually in a good fit. You've got the guy who's a pastor should be a pastor. The guy who's the school chaplain should be a school chaplain, as best as we can do. The priest's willingness to accept any assignment, wherever he's needed in the vineyard of the Lord here in Kalamazoo. Possibility of submitting all our resignations at once and letting the bishop just have a free hand to be able to assign some back where they were before, that's fine, but also to change some. One of the things that the seminarians were asking when we presented this to them is, they said, well, what if the bishop asks you to do something? You say, well, I don't really think I can do that. And the bishop had a great answer. He said, I'm living proof. He says, I've been asked to do things my whole priestly life that I never thought I could do. But the bishop saw that I could, and I wound up being able to do it. And that's the difference, because sometimes the bishop sees what I don't see. I'm not the best evaluator of my own abilities. Usually that comes from one superior. Also, I talked about the general charism there. We have to consider special circumstances. If we have, for instance, a priest who's within a couple years of retirement, there's no need to move him. What we're going to do is announce the collaborative, and when he retires, that parish then will go to the collaborative to which it's assigned. In the meantime, he just continues on as he is. There's no problem with that. There's no sense upsetting things, okay? And then finally, compensation schedule. We talked about that today in the priest meeting. It's not resolved yet, but back in the day, and even today, there's priest or a pastor and not pastor. But other dioceses now do it by ordination year. As you go along. So we're looking at those kinds of things as possibility, and also the terms in office. Am I a pastor for this term, a renewable one-year thing like that? That's a possibility as well. And this is what we need to do most of right there, is to pray. Okay? So I encourage you to please do that. We're hoping to avoid this. And we're hoping that you all kind of look like this when it's all over. Okay? And it all works out so beautifully, doesn't it? Yeah. And with that, I thank you for your time and attention, and I turn it back over to Bishop Ray.